guys, what's up? I'm here to film my wrap-up video, so I'm going to show you what I read for the month of August. So the sun is shining really hard here, so if I look washed out, ignore it. But I think the lighting is kind of giving, but sometimes it'll like super wash me out, so just ignore it. But let's get into it. So the first book I read, I already did a review of it on my channel, so you should check it out. But I read Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. Now, Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed is an interesting novel. Basically, it follows a 25-year-old Black woman named Amira, and she's a babysitter for a very wealthy, not very wealthy, I would say upper middle class white family in Philadelphia, the Chamberlains. And so she's interacting with the mother a lot, Alex Chamberlain, and there's kind of this weird relationship between them because, you know, Alex is kind of dealing with no longer being cool. She moved from New York to raise a family, she's living in the suburbs, and Amira is kind of coming into her own as a 25-year-old, even though she is lost with what career she wants to take. Add that into the fact that Amira is dating Alex's ex. Amira starts dating this quite older man, like she's 25, he's 32, and it turns out he was Alex's ex in high school. And also there is a scene where Amira gets stopped by a cop, and there's a lot going on in this book. I talked about it in the review. You should check it out because, yeah, I go into what I liked, what I didn't like, but ultimately I thought this was a pretty enjoyable book. I don't think it was the best book I've ever read, but I didn't really get the hate around it. And I think it was just a pretty generally enjoyable book. The next book I read, I also already did a video review on it, so check it out. I read We Will Not Cancel Us and Other Dreams of Transformative Justice by Adrienne Marie Brown. And this is a small booklet about transformative justice, but also how we can refrain from letting retribution like urges such as like canceling or excommunicating or calling out, refrain from using those when we don't have to. Obviously, if we have to, that's another story, but if we don't have to, we can use things such as call-ins or discussions or stuff like that. So I like this because there's a lot of terms in here, such as clarifying what is abuse, what is disagreement, what is a mistake, what is harm. And I think we really need definitions in the spaces that we're working in because it gets so confusing on the internet. I don't really know what is what. Some people really exaggerate things, some people downplay things, so it's hard to know. And I think this book is a good starter for addressing harm without going to the extremes. The next book I read is on my Kindle. You guys know I actually really enjoy reading books on my Kindle. The book I read was You. So if you've ever seen the Netflix show You, it's actually based on a book by Caroline Kepnes. Well, actually it's like a 3-book series, but basically in the series, it follows Joe Goldberg, who's like a white, like 30-something-year-old man, who basically in the first book starts stalking this woman who comes into the bookstore that he manages. And the woman's name is Beck. And Beck is like a grad student. She's young, she's cute, she's flirty, she's like suggestive as a person. And he gets obsessed with her, starts stalking her. She soon sees like what he's about, how creepy he is, how scary. What's really scary in the book, and if you've seen the show, you get this already, is that Joe literally kills anyone who Beck like gets close to. So like ex-boyfriends who try to get close to Beck, friends who try to get close to Beck, like Joe kills them because he wants to be the main thing that Beck orbits around. So it's really scary. The book is not as good as the show, and that's really weird to say, but the show is way better. The book is honestly kind of like cheesy and crude in the way that it describes Joe's lust for Beck. I thought, like, for instance, like, I don't really agree with the criticisms that this book romanticizes, like, creeps, because it's clearly obvious that Joe is, like, a unreliable narrator, but I did think the, like, language was just so crude, not artistic, and, like, I'm not even, like, a Puritan or whatever, but, for instance, like, Lolita by Vladimir, is it Nabokov? The way he words it is just much more literary, and this book is not literary at all. It's like a trashy thriller. But it was I don't want to say it was enjoyable because I don't know if I agree with that, but it was like readable, and I was enamored to some degree by it. So yeah. And then the last book, which I might do like a single review on this, I'm going back and forth. I wrote a review on my bookstagram, Fake Accounts by Lauren Euler. This book was super anticipated for me, published by Catapult, which is an indie publisher and also just like a cutting edge publisher. I would say there are things I love about this book and things that I hate about this book. One thing that I hate about this book is how effing run on the sentences are. It's like wading through a murky water to read these sentences, and you get the sense that Lauren uses a lot of flourishes in her writing to kind of show off like her mastery of the English language. And it's not bad. I don't think it's bad. There are books that do that I like, but here it was really hard to wade through the sentences. I had to read sentences over again, like, what are you trying to say? And I'm not, I'm not stupid. So, and that also was kind of plotless. Like the main character in this book, basically, she finds out that her boyfriend runs like a conspiracy alt like Instagram account. And so she finds this out because she kind of suspects that her boyfriend's like hiding something from her, and she already doesn't want to be in a relationship kind of. So she checks his phone at night, finds this out, which is like super shocking because her boyfriend Felix is the kind of person who like didn't use social media. So she's like, whoa, you had an Instagram where you were like spouting off lies about politicians like this. So following that, she's like, oh, how should I approach him with this? So, you're gonna think that she approaches him, but she never brings it up to him that she knows this. She goes to a women's march. Then she flies to Berlin after she thinks her boyfriend dies, and it's a whole mess. The sun's moving. It's a whole mess, but like, would I say this book was interesting? Yes, but it was also very plotless. I feel like really Lauren used the plot to really just give her hot takes on what she thinks the internet plays in our life, like what role she thinks the internet plays in our life. It's really not about the story, like at all. So those are the books I read. Oh my god, the sun is leaving me. Fuck, where should I go? Anyway, those are the books I read, 4 books this August, and yeah, I might do a longer review, but let me know what you guys have read, and I'll catch you guys later.